Ladles and jelly spoons, welcome back to Badgerworks. Today, this. Today we're going to look at my collection of razor saws. So, let's get on with it. So yes, today we're going to look at razor saws. I have a fairly large collection of razor saws. We'll start with the first one I ever bought, which was this one. This is a Manoir branded, it's got the name on it somewhere, there it is. Manoir branded razor saw. This one came from China. I think I got it on eBay. And there's a few things I like about this. It did come with this nice little box. It has some extra blades and a spring, although I've never quite figured out what that spring is for. But anyway, there you go. But the nice thing about it is, like I said, it comes with this box for the spare blades, and it also comes with a blade cover. Now, I've very rarely used these other two blades, but I have used them on occasion. But I use this one primarily for cutting things off of when I 3D print things. It's quite a coarse blade. Now, the blades on this are fairly thick. So if we measure this, that is just over 0.3 of a millimetre. Ooh. Yeah, it's about 0.3 of a mil, which you might think, well, that's not very thick. Well, it actually is compared to some of the others, but that actually works out quite well in some cases. One of the things I do like to use this one for, with this blade in particular, is to rescribe panel lines, because some of the other blades are basically too thin. Now, to change the blade on this one, you unscrew the handle, pull the blade out, pop your new blade in, tighten up the handle again, job's a good one. So yeah, this is quite a nice one. I quite like this. We'll go through all of them quickly, and then we'll do some tests with them to see, you know, how they cut and things like that. So let's put that to one side. Pop that over there. Next we have this one. This is a Trumpeter one, as you can see quite clearly on there. This also comes with spare blades. It only comes with straight blades. These blades are very coarse, but they are quite slender. So they're quite good for like cutting curves and things like that. So you've got one very thin, narrow blade, a slightly longer blade, and then a bit more of a kind of a, well, almost like a hacksaw blade. Really, it's quite ferocious. This one I really don't use very much because it's a very coarse cut. But again, there is a place for that if you need it. This one, to change the blades, you just pull the handle back, pop the blade out, and you'll see there is a hole in the blade, and in there is a little divot, and you slide the blade in onto that divot, push the lock forwards, and that locks the blade in place. This did not come with a blade cover, and it doesn't come with a box. Kind of annoying, but there you go. Put that one over there. What else have we got? Now, there are some that I haven't actually opened yet. I bought them and I've never actually used them. So there's this one. This comes from China somewhere. I don't know the name of the company. Carmake.com. There you go. We'll open this one up now, actually, because why not? Oh, so, it's a Ziploc bag. That's quite handy. Oh, if I could get into it. There we go. Now, this is an interesting one, and I think the reason I bought this one is because, you know, come on, out you come. It's because this one, the blades are actually photo etched. So yeah. Oh, actually, I just realised I didn't measure the blade on the other one, did I? So the Trumpeter one. Oh, come here. Let's measure these blades quickly. In fact, what we'll do is we'll measure it on the cutting edge. So that is 0.5 millimetre. So 0.5 of a millimetre. So that's quite chonky compared to the first one. Anyway, sorry, getting back to this one. So this works, I believe, in a similar fashion to the first one, where you put the blade in and then clamp it tight. So let's take one of these blades out. Oh, if I could get into it. how is that? I have no idea what's going on here with this. Oh, I see, they've taped it there. It's one of those sticky bags. Right. So, there are our blades. And we'll just nip one of those off with a pair of old pliers. Now, I just remembered actually why I bought this one. It's because of the shape of the blades. Especially the fact that they've got nice hooked ends. So I'm kind of hoping, again, they might be good for panel lines. Let's quickly measure that and see the size of it. Let's go across the... So that's 0.2, so that's pretty slim. And like I said, that basically... I quite like this handle. It seems like a fairly generic handle. That goes in there like that. You tighten up the handle and that grips. Now, obviously, with a handle like this, you could also put like a hobby knife blade or something in it. So you could, you know, use it for, you know, a knife blade as well as the saw. So that's quite handy. Right, we'll put that to one side. This has a cover over it, but it doesn't cover the blade as well. So you're kind of now stuck with the, you know, whatever. Anyway, that's fine. We'll put those to one side. We'll put all this away properly later. Then we have this one. This is a Tamiya one. Tamiya Handicraft Saw 2. So let's pop this out of here. It's quite well packaged. Oh. Blade. Handle. And that looks like a blade cover. I quite like that. So let's start by measuring the blade thickness, because that does look quite chunky. That is just over 0.4 of a mil. So not the thickest, but definitely not the thinnest. And again, that blade looks quite aggressive. Now, let's... Oh, that's tight. Let's pop that in there. Tighten that down. And that holds on there very well. That's nice. And then I'm assuming this is, yeah, that's just a plastic cover that goes over the blade. So that's quite nice. Although I'm going to wonder, is it going to cover this one as well? Where's the... Oh, it does. Okay, so that's fine. Right, we'll leave that one in there for a minute. So that's okay. Again, quite an aggressive blade, but, you know, it'd be good for something. Now we've got a slightly unusual one. This one. This is from Alexan Models. Choose right, make best. Okay. Gundam Scribe rule. It's kind of weird because the backing plate in this doesn't actually pay any attention. It's like it's got stencils, template instructions, plastic sander instruction. It's just like none of these things are actually what's in here, but, you know, whatever. Now, let's see if we can get this out of here. It's kind of interesting the way they've done this. They put the cardboard in the bag and then stapled it. Come out. Now this is another one that looks like it's photo etched, but I like this one because it's good for making long cuts. I can see it being good for that. So if you wanted to make a long straight cut, this would probably be quite handy for that. So let's measure the thickness of this one. That is 0.3. So again, that's a fairly hefty cut. But, you know, for certain applications, I can see that working. And now we come to what I consider the pièce de résistance, as they say. Apologies to anyone French listening for me butchering that. This is a JLC Razor saw. You have no doubt seen me use this many times on the channel. And it is dusty. It is by far, for me, the best saw. Now, I say that, let me qualify that. It is the best for making very narrow, very clean cuts. Because if we measure the blade on this one, it is about 1/10 of a millimetre. It is very, very, very thin. And there are actually thinner ones, like this one. You do have to be careful with though, because it's very easy to break these blades, like this one I broke. But if I measure this one, I think this one's even thinner. Oh no, it's the same thickness. So yeah, you do have to learn to be, you know, careful with it. But it does come with spare blades. It also comes with, you see the way it's, this is like, for me, a true razor saw, because it's more like a razor blade. But it comes with a selection of these locking plates in various thicknesses. So you can actually use that to help guide the cut and things like that, and also to make the blade either more or less flexible. So that's quite handy. But yes, this is from the Czech Republic, JLC. So they can be quite expensive, but I do think that this is definitely worth it. So there you go. So that's a quick overview of all of them. And what we're going to do now is we're going to get a bit of plastic and we're going to try them out. So what I've got here is just a bit of an old frame. I think this is from, this is one of the Airfix starter kits. So let's do some cutting and see what happens. So we'll start with our Manoir one again. Let me move this one out of the way. And we will just cut through here. Right, there we go. Now, as we can see, that has made a fairly rough cut, and it's left a lot of stuff around the edge that's going to need to be cleaned up. But it is a nice straight cut, and it's better than doing it, say, with a pair of clippers, because if I cut this with a pair of clippers, you can see that has absolutely massacred the end of that, whereas that side is nice and straight. So a bit of cleanup required, but on the whole, not bad. Right, let's put that one away again. Like I said, I do like that, and I like the little box. That is a big plus, considering this is like a cheap one from China. Very well done. So then we have, where did that other one go? This one. Now this is going to be, I'm not quite sure how this is going to work. Let me see if I can cut this with this. Oh, actually, let me just move that out of the way for a minute. This is not really ideal for this, but as I say, this blade was not meant for this kind of cutting. But it is doing it. It's cutting it. Oh. Nearly there. There we go. That's actually not bad. That is not bad at all. If we compare that to the other one, that is not terrible in the slightest. Yeah, quite impressed with that. Like I said, I would envisage using this more for like scribing and things like that, or for cutting, you know, like if you wanted to get in like behind something and cut, that's where this would work, I think, better. But anyway, that's fine. Now let's try our Trumpeter one, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the blade on this one, and I'm going to put the chonkier blade on, because they all have pretty much the same tooth profile, but I think this will be more appropriate for this. So let's cut here. Oh, that's just skidding across the surface, which is not helpful. Oh. Oh, right. Yeah, I think that's fairly similar to the first one. It looks a lot worse than it is, but it's not terrible. So that was the Manoir saw. So it's a similar kind of result. And then this was the other one. So yeah, not terrible, not terrible. But it's a very chonky cut. I'll see if I can find something flat to cut in a minute so we can see the size of the cuts. Now we have our Tamiya. All right, let's Let's try and cut this bit here if we can. Oh, that goes through that nice. Wow, that cut very, very quickly. That's nice. That cut very quickly. And if we compare, so this is the Tamiya end. It has kind of chewed it up a little bit, but it cut very fast. And it hasn't chewed up as much as some of the others. So that's not terrible. Not terrible at all. Right, now we will try our Alexan model portable stainless saw. Portable, I love that. Let's do a cut here. Now this has got finer teeth on it, so we'll see how well this works. That's nice. That cut really well, actually. Wow, that's very nice. Look how smooth that cut is compared to some of the others. That's really nice. And it cuts quick. Because it's a longer blade, you can get a good stroke on it. Stop laughing at the back. And now, let us try our JLC razor saw. Now, these blades have a fine and a coarse side. I mean, not that you know it to look at it, but one side is very, very fine and the other side is slightly more coarse. So let's try the coarse side first. And like I say, what you do have to be careful with this sometimes is that you don't snap the blade, because it is a very, very thin blade. Now, I don't know if you can see that, but that is shiny. And that was with the coarse side of the blade. The big problem, the biggest drawback to this is the way it's attached. It's its biggest advantage and also its biggest drawback, because this holds the blade nice and stiff. I'm not going to tell you again. But it also means you have quite a limited depth of cut. But that's not the end of the world. But that is by far the best finish. Now, let me see if I can find something that we can check the width of the cuts. Give me a second. Right, I found this. This is a wing, I believe from an Eduard Eindecker. For some reason, they give you two sets of wings with a lot of these models. I don't know why, but there you go. So I'm going to use this. Now, this is obviously on a frame, so we need to get it off. Now, obviously, we could just cut it off with clippers, but this is another nice use for a razor saw. If it's like right on the leading edge of a wing like that, you can take your razor saw and just... and you get a nice clean cut. What you can also do is use it in conjunction. So, like, for example, you can cut like that and get it off the frame, and then use your razor saw to come in and trim it off like that. You see, and you get a much cleaner cut. But anyway, that's beside the point. So what we will do now is we will make a cut, or a series of cuts through this wing, and we'll see what those cuts look like. So this is our Manoir saw. Get a bit carried away there. Okay, so let's just start here and just I won't go all the way through, but wow, that's quite a hefty cut. So, but it went through it all right. That's fine. And to be fair, as I said, I've had this for quite a while, so it's entirely possible this blade is getting blunt. So then we'll go for our Trumpeter, again with the same blade as before. And we'll see what this one does. Oh dear, that is... good grief. Wow. yeah, I was trying to cut that straight down, and you can see it's wandered a little bit. Not keen on that one, I have to say. And that is quite the gap indeed. Right, okay, now I'll tell you what I'm going to do with this one. I'm going to change to this blade because it has a straighter edge on it. So we'll just trim this one off. Oh, this is kind of awkward. There we go. Right, let's change this out. Right, let's see how well this one does. I'll be careful of that. There's a little bit there. I should file that off, really. Oh, see, because this is a very thin blade, it's trying to wander. Oh. I can see this blade getting bent very, very easily if you're not careful. Yeah, that kind of wandered off as well. Okay, but you know, it is quite a thin curve, so it's quite a thin cut. So it's like if you wanted to cut something, like cut two pieces together and rejoin them without losing too much material, that would be okay for that. Now, where's our Tamiya one? Let's try this one. That goes through that like butter. That is a really nice saw. And it's also cut nice and straight. So at the moment, I say these two are almost comparable. I can't remember how much I paid for this, but I bet it was a lot less than this one. And what else have we got? Oh, we need this one. I've got high hopes for this one because I think this is pretty much what this is designed for. So oh, the trouble is it's flexing because it's a very thin blade. It flexes a lot. Oh, well, it cuts straight. It's a very thin cut and it's very clean cut, but it takes a lot more effort. So yeah, I think that's going to be the issue with that one. And then finally, again, our razor saw, our JLC saw. Now this really isn't designed for this kind of cutting. If you were going to do this, you'd kind of have to cut it like that, like on a flat, but we can at least get it started and see what it looks like. So we'll use the coarser side. Right, and that's as far through as we can go until we hit that. But like I said, if you were going to do this with this, you would kind of cut it like that. But there's a little bit more. Oh, actually, that just blows off. But again, you can see that is by far the thinnest cut. It is the cleanest cut, and it's also nice and straight because, again, this blade is very rigid. So yeah, I would say, in summary for these, if I had to pick one, it would definitely be this one. And this is not sponsored, by the way. I bought this with my own money a long time ago. It's a cracking bit of kit. This is good. This is okay. It's not terrible. But it's, you know, you have to be careful how you use it, I think. The Tamiya one is great, but it is also quite a thick blade. in comparison to say this one. But again, for making like this cut here, that's not bad at all. This one I think would be more use as a scribe than a saw. But again, not terrible, not terrible. This one I'm not too keen on, the Trumpeter one, I have to say. Yeah, yeah, I don't really like that one. It doesn't cut straight, or it's more difficult to cut straight. The blade is way too aggressive, and it's also quite chonky. Then we have our Manoir. This one I do like. When I first got this, I thought it was a cheap bit of tat, but it actually works really well. It's made a nice straight cut there. It comes with the blade cover. It comes with the little box to put the spare blades in. And I've had this for quite a long time. I'm not sure how long, but it's been at least several years. And it's still working fine. It is possible the blade is getting a little bit blunt now. But that's not the end of the world. I mean, I'm actually just wondering, just out of curiosity, whether this blade would fit in this handle. I think it probably would. Oh, let's loosen that off a bit more. Yeah, it does. So, yeah, although whether that will still... You can't quite get the cover on it. Let's just try this, just out of curiosity. Yeah, that's nice. So, worst case, you could always use Tamiya blades as a replacement. It won't go in any further than that, unfortunately. Yeah, because you can see that the tang on this blade is a little bit longer, but I suppose you could, in theory, just take a pair of clippers or something and just knock the end of that off. So yeah, and it's a very similar blade pattern. But anyway, so there you go. That is a quick overview of some razor saws that I have. I don't know if this will be of any use to any of you. I hope it will. Maybe some of you have looked at razor saws and couldn't decide what to get. But yeah, I use, I say, primarily this one and this one. This one I use for cutting. I also use it for panel line scribing. This I use for cutting. I do use it for panel line scribing sometimes because it has a nice sharp corner, so you can use it to scribe. And if you're doing like a small scale model, like 1/72 scale or something, this is good for that. But yeah, of the rest of them, the Tamiya one is okay. I prefer this handle, I have to say. This one I think would be good for scribing, but not a lot else. This one, the Trumpeter one, I'm really not keen on at all. I don't think they'll be using that anymore. But there you go. Hopefully that's been of use to some of you. Just a little aside, someone mentioned razor saws the other day, and I thought it'd be interesting to get my collection out and see which one did what. But yes, in the meantime, I'd like to thank my top tier patrons, Howard, Amy and Hawaii Clive O, for their continued support, and all of my channel members and you know, patrons and all you lovely people at home. It's all very, very much appreciated. And I will see you all on the next video. Thanks very much for watching. Cheers. Bye.